Ayrton Senna had begun the racing year in the best way possible, a solid victory in first race. But now, Formula 1 had come to Sao Paulo, to Interlagos, to Senna's home track, also to a place where Senna had never stood on the top step of the podium. For Senna, this was not just another race, it was his chance to silence a doubt that had lingered for years. Could he finally win here in front of his people? Every lap mattered, every move carried the weight of a nation, and he knew to begin a championship the right way, every point was critical. But Senna was not alone in this fight. McLaren had brought something new, a machine designed to dominate and win, the MP4 6, with a brand new V12 powertrain, a refined suspension and a chassis crafted for both speed and stability. It quickly proved to be one of the fastest cars on the grid. From time perspective, we know that this car carried Senna to a world championship. But what truly made it so special? Was it the raw power of the new Honda V12 or was it something less visible, the aerodynamics? We're going to talk about this today. If you learned something from this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Today we're taking a closer look at one of the most legendary cars in Formula 1 history, the McLaren MP4 6. This car was driven by Ayrton Senna in the 1991 season and it carried him to his third and final world championship. But what made it so special? Was it the brand new Honda V12 engine or was it the aerodynamics? That's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. First, let's take a look at the general shape of the car. What immediately catches the eye are few main elements: a massive rear wing, a diffuser underneath the car, long and straight side skirts, huge air cooling inlets on top of the car and two massive ones on each side, and finally, a sharp and aggressive front section. At first glance, the car looks simple compared to modern Formula 1 machines, but when we look deeper into the airflow and pressure visuals, we'll see how clever the design really was. The front wing is the first element to meet the airflow, and in the MP4 6 it looks fairly basic. We see two flat airflows and simple end plates, nothing really complex or spectacular by today's standards. However, if we check the pressure distribution, we can see how effectively it was already working. High pressure on top, low pressure below. This difference creates front downforce, which is essential to keep the car stable. Now, if we compare it to modern F1 front wings, it is of course much less efficient. Modern wings have many elements, flaps and curved profiles that direct air very precisely. But back in the early 90s, even this simple design was already impressive. Another small but clever detail is the longer side plates of the front wing. These helped guide the flow around the tires and contributed positively to downforce. A small touch, but one that shows how engineers were already thinking about the details. If we look at the side velocity visuals, we see that the sharp nose of the MP4 6 caused flow separation. The steepness of the front section created small wake and extra drag. It's worth mentioning that already in those years, teams were experimenting with some form of a windscreen in front of the cockpit. The goal was the same as in today's cars, to reduce turbulence entering the cockpit and hitting the driver's helmet. However, in the MP4 6, the flow separation around the cockpit was simply too strong to be completely solved. The sharp edges and steep angles made it difficult to control. If McLaren had designed the nose with a smoother, more horizontal profile, the flow would have stayed attached for longer, reducing drag. Also, back then there was no halo device. From a safety point of view, that is of course a huge improvement in modern cars. But aerodynamically, the absence of the halo means slightly less drag in 1991. Now let's talk about cooling. The MP4 6 had both side inlets and large top inlet above the driver's head. The side inlets were massive compared to modern standards. They allowed a lot of air to enter and cool the engine, but at the same created drag. The top inlet was also very large and aimed directly at the free-stream airflow. On the pressure plot, we can clearly see very high pressure in this area. The problem is that the sharp edge of the top inlet caused another separation zone. which disrupted the flow behind it. In modern Formula 1, these inlets are designed with smoother transitions and less aggressive angles, which reduces separation and improves efficiency. And if we now look at the MP4-6 from above, we see that the bodywork is mostly smooth. However, near the rear section there is a sharp change of shape. That rapid transition caused another flow separation. In contrast, today's F1 cars use very carefully curved bodywork at the rear to guide air more efficiently and reduce separation. One more element visible from above is the straight side skirts. These were used to prevent dirty air from entering under the car. By sealing the underbody, the flow underneath stayed cleaner, which improved performance. Today, such side skirts are banned, and we now see complex bargeboards and vortex generators to manage the same airflow in a more advanced way. The flow of the MP4-6 was very simple compared to modern designs. Basically, it was a smooth plate with a diffuser at the back. Even so, engineers already knew that a clean flat underbody increased performance. The diffuser either accelerated the airflow and reduced pressure. Modern cars take this concept much further. Today's floors use venturi tunnels and channels to massively speed up airflow and generate huge downforce. But the principle remains the same, and it was already present in the MP4-6. Finally, let's take a look at the rear wing, one of the most dominant features of the MP4-6. This wing had three main elements, on top and one beam wing below. The wing sat high, aiming directly into the free-stream airflow that gave it a very strong downforce effect. But one drawback was the amount of drag and wake it created. On visualizations, we can see three large wake zones behind the car, which increased the drag ratio. Still, the rear wing did its job, providing the rear downforce needed to balance the car. When we compare it with a modern F1 wings, we see that it produced more downforce than the upcoming 2026 generation, but less than the current 2022 generation. In terms of numbers, the MP4-6 achieved a drag coefficient of 0.7 and a lift coefficient of -0.36. By today's standards, those values are weak, but remember, this was more than 30 years ago. Aerodynamics were still in their early stages compared to the precision we see today. So what do we learn from this car? Even though it was built in 1991, we can clearly see the roots of many modern F1 concepts. A smooth underbody, side skirts, the beginning of cockpit windshields, diffuser and rear beam wing. The MP4-6 was not just fast for its time, it was a bridge between early Formula 1 aerodynamics and the highly advanced machines we see today. And more importantly, it was the car that carried Senna to one of his most iconic victories, including that unforgettable home win in Brazil. Huge thanks for Tisha, who helped me with all these fabulous renders and images. Make sure to check his social media, he truly does the incredible job. As always, thanks for watching and see you in the next aero analysis.